Hello, tell me what you've been reading because I have been reading Helen of Nowhere by Makenna Goodman and it was good. I had to read it 3 times to get the impact of how good this book is, but that's a good thing. Mild spoilers ahead. I shall not ruin the plot for you because, of course, that is sacrilege. But I will definitely go into the theme of the book, which may be a spoiler for you if you want to discover the theme yourself as you read the book. If that is something you're not into, kindly come back to this video after you read the book yourself and then reread it for effect and want to discuss the book with somebody. I will only do thematic spoilers so that there's something to say about the goodness of this book. So, this book follows a university professor aptly named Man, not Professor Goodman, not Mr. Goodman, not Dr. Goodman, just Man. That's a hint into what this book is about, who teaches transcendentalism. He has this melodramatic midlife crisis, not just professionally, but also personally. For a lot of people, compartmentalizing work and home is not really a thing, especially when work and your identity are interlaced. And that is the man of the book. He blows up his career and he blows up his marriage. And he takes zero accountability for that because, of course, what is accountability? He dreams of escaping all of this and going to the countryside to live the idyllic life where one becomes one with nature. Note, he is a transcendentalism scholar. So the irony of this hits on so many levels. The subtext is so delicious. A rich woman named Helen owns a country house that has been for sale. And of course, esteemed man wants to buy the house instead of building the house himself. This is where he meets the realtor selling the house. Now, this realtor yaps and yaps and yaps. Till this point in the book, everything is realistic. But once the yapping begins, the lines of reality sort of blur a little bit. The index is a dead giveaway as to what this book is about. It's not Dr. Goodman or Mrs. Goodman or Professor Goodman or Mrs. Linda selling Helen's house. It is man, woman, realtor, wife. The only name we have in the book is Helen. How very Rebecca of the author. The index becomes apparent once you read the book and then you start rereading it going, what was this about? I'm so confused. And you have that moment of, wait a minute. The index, it's 6 acts. Some of it seems absurdist, surrealistic. And the ending, oh my God, the ending. You go, ooh, 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 ooh. We don't know the names. And the names are not mentioned anywhere because names are important. If you have seen Sento Chihiro no Kamikakishi, Spirited Away, the witch steals the memories of the people working for her by taking away their name. She's not doing some complex, complicated spell, she's just taking their name. And the moment you start forgetting your name, little bits you have as this is my identity, be it this is what I look like, this is where I'm from, this is what I plan to do, bada boom, bada bing. One by one, those aspects of you associated to you drop. And with a slight passage of time, you forget who you are, becoming faithful servants for this witch at her bathhouse. Names carry stories, names carry memories, names carry baggage. And a name belongs to an individual, and this individual has ego built around the whole thing. And if you are like the man in this book, that is superego, which is a big problem, as the name implies, super. Susan Choi does something similar with Flashlight. When the name of the character in the book is revealed in the very last chapter, and when you're reading this book, you just pause and cannot help yourself but cry, because all these names he has been given in the course of his life. And there it is, the actual name. So names do carry a sense of belonging. And the fact that we don't get any names other than Helen in this book is telling us a lot. Inciting incident that sets this book off is the man getting cancelled for falsely accusing a student of plagiarism. Now, when you are a celebrated scholar, when you are a celebrated professor of your field, that you have a lot of students that come to study under you, whether they want to or begrudgingly, we don't really know. But you have a lot of students who are interested in learning from you. And then you look at one of these students, and the only thing you can describe about the student is she is a woman with fancy ideas. And you accuse this woman of plagiarism. Your field, in the morality that we exist in right now, your fellow scholars will not tolerate this sort of behavior. This might have flown like 5, 6 years ago, but not anymore. There have been a lot of discussions that have been had about how gendered academia is and how a lot of the old guard wants to keep it that way. And the young ones are like, "Mm-mm, no, not doing that. We are going to call you out. You can take away our PhDs if you want, but we are going to call you out." And that's probably what this young female student who later on becomes a professor did. And because the book is contexted in present morality, his career collapses. Maybe he was fired, maybe he was told to take a sabbatical or take a step back, and people are not really consulting him anymore because his bias has become very, very apparent. Because his career suffers, his wife, who was his former student, who later became a professor, and then their love story sort of began, his wife suffers the consequences of a man who is facing loss of identity, because the only thing important about him was his career. And that was, according to him, taken from him. It wasn't really taken from him. Its actions meet consequences. FAFO, as the youngins say. With the sort of audacity only possessed by men, he decides to transcend the consequences of his actions by going to that village house to become one with, quote, real nature. As if human beings, mammals, moving around in cities are not real nature. We are nature. Parks that exist in cities, nature. The birds pooping on the compressors of our ACs and windows, nature. You are not away from nature when you live in the cities. You are part of nature. And I think a lot of us forget that when we say those snooty things like, oh, the idyllic country life. So I don't know why the definition of natural is a particular sort of aesthetic, but by definition, natural includes a lot of things. Nature encompasses the cities as well. Like bougie, out of touch people, he decides to buy this idyllic life, by the way. Doesn't curate it like Helen did. He buys it ready made. Helen's home and land are for sale by what we can presume is a friend of Helen, the realtor, who is telling the man stories from Helen's life. The first crack appears here because he is coming to this house to escape the difficult life of the city. The story is let him know that life in the rural countryside is not easy. It's very difficult. It involves lawsuits, maybe. It involves not having internet, not having electricity, not having access to clean water, random strangers showing up with guns to your house, animals and birds and reptiles, land that has to be tilled and taken care of. Picturesque countryside aesthetic needs to be nurtured. The tree is not going to fruit itself. You have to take care of the land, or you have to let nature take over completely. Point being, you have to get your hands dirty. You can't just sit on a chair and write a paper where you are putting these idealistic ideals of becoming one with nature into the world. The simple life would be very, very hard if he invests in it. He keeps asking the realtor, should I buy this house? Should I buy this house? And I'm going, that's your choice. The realtor is giving you the lay of the land. If you think you can handle it, buy it. While reading this, a thought came to me that, yeah, maybe he may escape his sadness and a lot of other things by buying this house because he'll be too busy to be sad or depressed or woe is me about the world. Because the heater doesn't work, have to get the heater to work. There's no wood, I have to go chop wood or go buy wood like 25 kilometers away. The neighbors' kids are in the pond again, they may drown and then I might be sued. Things of this sort. He'll be too busy to be sad and depressed. And maybe that may work out for him because the way he describes his life, he's too soft to live the country life. And I don't think we acknowledge how hard the country, the traditional aesthetic is. It looks nice in 15-30 second videos in our feeds, but it's not nice. Another book I read, which I did not like, and hence I didn't make a video on, was YesterYear, which has this scene, okay, where the trad wife goes actually trad and has to bake bread for the first time without the comforts of modern amenities, like yeast, like ovens with proper temperature dials, like clean water and wheat flour that is refined. When she makes the bread, it obviously does not taste good. The amount of effort that goes into these things, we don't really think about that, do we? When we watch the trad influencers look extremely cute making bread on their social media platforms. I think the man is kind of shocked because he was expecting trad life and what he was probably going to get, what he realized is, yeah, I'm going to get bad life or rather hard life. My soft hands will become chafed and rough. Um, I will have no time to write because I'll be busy making sure my house works. The realtor also sort of says wild things that he may agree with, and so he feels safe to talk to her. And then he starts going into what went down with his wife, not directly via what he thinks, and it's so misogynistic, but it gives you a window into the mind of people who say the divorce came out of nowhere. It did not come out of nowhere, did it? It did not. And you can see it. You can see the nowhere written on page. With the context of the full story, when I reread the book, I was like, oh, this is delicious. This has so many layers. The layers are a Gorginsky through and through. So, yeah, this is why you read difficult books. They are not obvious, they torture you a little bit. But when they reveal their truth, you're like, mm. The man had sidelined his wife for years for what he calls professional ambitions, but it is also, in my opinion, personal inadequacies. His wife was not happy with him. And no matter what people say, I think your spouse can possibly tell when you're not happy with them. I'm guessing because the woman who married her former professor possibly faced some sort of social stigmas when she married said professor. Uh, Going back to where she began, possibly not a choice because it is easier for men of this sort to divorce their much younger wives, but it is harder for the wives to divorce their much older husbands without social stigma because people think you, as the younger person in the dynamic, seduced the wiser, older person with way more power over you, as if the older person did not have any sort of agency in the relationship. The world has so much more patience for men and their hubris. So I'm guessing because of factors of this sort, maybe she was ostracized by her family, by her old friends. We don't really know. Her perspective is not really shared in the book. She does not really leave. When his career sort of falls through, and he becomes much worse. I'm guessing he becomes much worse. We don't know because from his perspective, he's not going to tell you, I'm banging doors, breaking plates, not talking to my wife, or being very, very unnecessarily rude to my wife. He doesn't really, he did tell us that he kicked her dog. Her dog, not their dog, her dogs. And all of these years that she's possibly been in this house with her own proficiency sort of ignored, maybe also mocked, because men like this make fun of their wives to in public to feel superior. Her husband's ego possibly became too much for her to handle. She was like, I will deal with the social fallout, but I cannot deal with the audacity of this man anymore. I'm going. Bye. She loves him. She cares for him. She let her life change for him. She went along with him, his career, his problems. She also gave him feedback to soften his papers, which he used without giving any credit to her. So, possibly losing some professional credibility that would have come to her if this man wasn't her husband. All of this, I think, possibly caught up with her when the scandal hit her husband, and she was like, mm-mm, this shall be my ex now. Because one aspect of a lot of such dynamics is choice. I think a lot of people lose choice. It's not that choice doesn't exist in your life, it's there. You can get up and leave anytime. But the way you leave doesn't really leave you unscathed. So the wife very smartly chooses neutrality. She doesn't support her husband. She doesn't object him in public, but she does reject him in private. A very, very diplomatic choice, the sort of choice we see men make all the time. Like, I did not know this was going on. Her neutrality triggers the egomaniac who expected support in this moment. And because instead of two sides working to make things work, one side had stopped putting in any work years ago. So the other side is holding on for life. And the other side is also like, yeah, whatever, bye. And the relationship fractures. He has no realization of any of this. But because of how well Makenna has written the thing, you can read between those lines spectacularly, especially during the reread. There's also a personal call out I had while reading the book, which is when we choose to be self righteous about things. And we are so self righteous about certain things, like, oh, I could never do this. We are so self righteous that we are useless. Like the man, we blame everyone and everything, including culture. And this is where the theme of the book kicks in. The author begins to strategically strip him down bit by bit. First, I will take your job, then, I will take your career, then, I will take your wife, then, I take your competence. And finally, I will take your life's work, transcendentalism, and prove it wrong by making you think, oh, yeah, I can't become one with nature. It's just too hard. We are reading an ego death in real time, which is the ending. The ending is what ripped me up in the first read. Because what is this? What is this? It tapers onto absurdism a bit, but that absurdism has a point. What are you without your ego? What are you without all of these identifying markers that make you think of who you are? The man's ego death makes him realize he is nothing. And I think, in a way, we as readers also realize the same. We are nothing. It's true. We have these grandiose narratives of who we are and what we do and contribute to the world. And we create so much sorrow for ourselves and for those around us based on these narratives when, in the grand scheme of things, we are nothing. So, might as well just live your life however you see fit. The author kind of shows us that when the problems are internal, no amounts of external adjustments are going to help you fix things because your drama, your problem. You can change your house, you can change your partner, you can change your job, you can maybe also change your planet. Because I read this incredible post on Truth of My Chest subreddit about a climate scientist saying, using the words, I am held hostage by the planet Earth. And I could like, not relate to the angst of that post because as someone who works with plants sometimes, you can see how nature, how the flora and fauna are responding to climate change and things like that. And there you are in your tiny little garden, not able to do anything about it because remember, you are nothing. Neither are the bugs that are missing from your garden, and neither are the flowers that are flowering too early and the fruits that are fruiting too early. So yeah, a bit negative, but I don't think this negative is meant to break you down. I think this is supposed to be a hopeful sort of message, like Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, where yeah, life happens to us all, and some of that life is very, very unpleasant. And when that unpleasantness kicks you in the shin and forces you down so that you stay down, some people find reason to smile. And when they do that, they find the strength to stand up and continue, even if their situation is extremely dark. The story doesn't really give us a closure, and I like it like that. We get what I am calling a reawakening of sorts, where you become a blank slate in many ways. And you can put any color you want on a blank slate, including the color of the slate, including contrasting colors, shapes, textures, whatever you want. It's blank. Ego drives us all, and we succumb to it. Every single one of us, no matter what we say and believe about ourselves. We are all victims of our ego. Ego is also the thing that gives us drive and it fuels our ambition and it is responsible for a lot of, I would say, professional success that we experience because you are either being driven by spite, I'm going to prove someone wrong, or you are being driven by innate curiosity. I have to find a solution to this problem or I have to find an answer to this question. Go, go, go. This is also ego. Not entirely good, not entirely bad. But the moment it becomes super, yeah, possibly bad. We all also believe myths and stories and narratives about our life. Beyond all of these narratives and these myths exists a truth, the absolute truth. I think most of us don't know what that is. As a reader, you get to decide, was the man punished or or was he set free? What I loved about the book is where surrealism sort of enters the chat, as they say. I am certain of the objects surrounding me, and I will anchor a lot of what I say, what I believe, what I do based on said objects. If those shift suddenly without any warning, what sort of reaction am I going to have? What I'm alluding to, of course, is how do you define certainty? And how does that definition shape your life? Note that I have not mentioned Helen much. There's a reason for that. Read the book. This is a good book. It is a bit difficult to get into. I will not lie to you about that. But once you get into it, worth it. Uh, it also has these little lines I love, which show don't tell what sort of a character you are dealing with. He used to love to read. You can see it from this paragraph, but he doesn't read like that anymore because he is reading with focus instead of reading to escape. And take, I feel a lot of the reading crisis, as we dub it, comes from a lot of us wanting to read with focus in mind rather than escape. You're not trying to enjoy it, you're trying to get something from it. Let me like extract value instead of Let me get lost in this book and let me allow the book to frustrate me or bring me joy or tickle me or let me ignore my life for a little bit. We also have this beautiful sort of metaphor about takers and doers. Food, all the doomsday preppers, most of them are, I would say, on the conservative side of the political spectrum, and they are preparing for the end of the world by hoarding a lot of food. And you try to ask them to donate to any food charities so that hungry people right now could get food. They will not donate. They will say, I will pray for you, and nope away from helping anyone, which is ideally a cornerstone principle for their social beliefs, but they don't do it. They will hoard the food for the day when they specifically run out of food. And because they are hoarding food, a lot of it may go bad. And when you point that out, because there will be a smell, of course, there will be a smell. They will say it is bad luck or it was God's plan. They will risk something becoming useless. They could have used this food in the present to help someone in need, but they won't because they would risk something becoming useless because they are a taker. Doers, on the other hand, they are too busy doing. And this rotting food metaphor, I loved it. These sort of weird discussions happen in homes where you will throw food, and I am using the words throw, food and milk and sweets into a river while there's hungry kids begging around you. Yes, I wish those that beggar mafia thing didn't exist. But polluting a river with food that could have been eaten by people around you, hoping that God gives you goodwill in the future, is ridiculous as an ideology. And these people put so much effort and money into it, it makes me angry. This is what you're doing. You would rather something become useless j- on the promise of you getting blessings or goodwill in the future. You don't know, you are hoping that you will be blessed for this, and you spoil it when you could give it to someone who needs it. And as you can see, good book, excellent book. Once you get into it, getting into it is the hard part. If you manage it, good stuff. To quote the wife, definitions differ. Depends on who says the word. So find out for yourself whether this book is good or not. I will leave you with one quote from the book, and I'm reading from my highlights. You love only yourself. My wife said, you love others as a way to love yourself, to prove you can love at all. But caring is not something you do, care is something you give. I will end on this note. Next time, reading Black Bag, and Black Bag has got me by the throat already, just like David Zilley's Flesh did last year while I was reading the Booker Prize long list. I'll see you in the next video, coming as soon as I'm done with Black Bag. Hopefully, I shall see you in the comment section. Bye. And happy reading. Go pick up a book. Read today. Yeah.